Welcome to Beyond HR, the podcast for people-first leaders who know that HR is about more than checklists and compliance. I'm Paige, your co-host, and we will explore the real challenges shaping today's workplaces. From burnout and belonging to strategy and storytelling, we're bringing you honest conversations, practical insights, and a fresh take on what it means to lead with heart in the world of work. Before we dive into our episode, a quick shout out to Manpower for generously providing the space where we record Beyond HR. And here's a quick word from our launch sponsor.
If you're feeling stretched thin, juggling big changes, emotional labor, and communication breakdowns, you're not alone. Hi everyone, I'm Dan Kaplan, founder of Bring Disc to Life, an online community for aspiring leaders and HR professionals. We give you the strategies, tools, and encouragement to communicate in ways that increase your influence while lowering your stress. Using DISC, the 5 behaviors, and mindfulness, you'll learn to stay grounded, read minds, and frame your message to influence others. We have live workshops every month, group coaching to unpack tough situations, and tons of easy-to-use scripts, strategies, and resources that you can apply right away without adding more to your plate. So come refuel with a community that gets you and wants to help you speak your truth in a way that's heard. Join us at confidentcommunicator.com and click on community. That's confidentcommunicator.com. Lead yourself and others will follow.
Today, we are exploring a powerful shift for HR leaders moving from managing compliance to truly leading for legacy. Our guest, Awatif, brings deep insight into how emotional intelligence and purpose-driven leadership can transform workplaces from check-the-box cultures into thriving environments people are proud to be a part of. And so we're thrilled to welcome Awatif, founder of Awe Horizons LLC. With over 15 years of international experience, she helps leaders move beyond policies and to build inspiring, human-centered organizations where both people and performance can grow. So, Awatif, thank you for joining us, and let's dig into what it really means to lead for legacy. The first question I have for you is who you are at your core and what fuels the passion for the work that you do.
Well, thank you for having me. That's a deep question. Who am I at my core? Everyone is made up of a lot of things, right? The experiences and all. But if I dig deep down in terms of what I'm remembered for, hopefully what my friends say about me, what my colleagues would say about me, I would tell you that at my core, I'm a lover. I'm a people lover. And I don't mean it in a romantic companionship kind of a way, although I'm a hopeless romantic, right? But what I mean is I really love people. I love being around them. I get my energy from them. So when I'm low, I actually take my laptop and go to an area where it's populated with people, being a cafe or whatever, because their energy kind of bounces off and it gets my creative juices flowing, if you will. So I really like to be with them. I like interacting with them. I like to laugh with them. I like to make them laugh. I'm sad when they're down. I'm happy for their achievements. So I guess that kind of ultimately led me to the life or the path of HR. It just made sense, right? Because I already liked being with people, and so helping them, be it professionally or otherwise, made a good fit. It made sense to me, and my career kind of took off with that in mind.
I love that. And you said something very special to me of you are down when others are down and you are up when other people are up. So kind of tell me a little bit about how you manage that, because it sounds like to me you are that empath person.
Yeah, it could be a little bit taxing. I cry in movies, for example, when you
I do too. I
know when it's not warranted at all. Like, I don't know. I just get emotional sometimes, and maybe it's coming with age as well. I don't know. But the way I manage it is when I think about how I can help them or how I can make them feel better, and sometimes that could take a form of just holding their hand, right? Or just being there. Because sometimes our first reaction is wanting to give suggestions and wanting to tell people what to do, and that's natural because that's what we want to do. We want to help people, but maybe that's not the best thing to do for them at that specific moment, right?
Right.
And I'm a big believer of not giving advice until somebody specifically asks you for it, because sometimes it can be unwelcomed. So the way I deal with it, well, when you're happy, right? You don't have to deal with that. You just, capture that moment and make it last for, for as long as you can. But when you're sad, I just feel like, okay, I'll be sad for a bit. And then I'm like, okay, let's turn this around. Let's get the day. I'm always looking for silver linings. I'm always saying, okay, this thing happened. It was bad. But hey, if it didn't happen, maybe I wouldn't have seen this situation in this light, okay? Or maybe this particular path or this particular door wouldn't have opened for me. So the way I snap out of it is just to try and see how I can help, be it with my words, be it with my actions, or be it just being quiet and being an active listener at that moment for them. And that kind of helps me deal with that sadness and, wipe it away with some actionable or something good that can come out of a bad situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the how can I help type of thing, because the way that you help people look different for each and every individual. And sometimes people aren't looking for, solutions and recommendations. They're just looking for that listening ear. And you could really upset them. I remember years and years and years ago, I used to be the one that always made recommendations because I thought that would help people. And I just wanted to help people. I wanted to make a positive difference, and I wanted to be that person that they trusted. Well, you live and you learn. And I found that is not effective. You actually have to ask people, how can I help? Are you coming to me to vent, or are you coming to me for some solutions, or do you not know? And maybe I can just sit here and be a listening ear and just, be that person that you can trust, which, in HR in general, that can be a really tough thing sometimes, just listening, because you always do want to find the solutions. Maybe that's kind of like what's embedded in us.
It is. See, I come from an HR background. I mean, I pivoted. I did a paradigm shift from dealing with IT, because my first degree was in IT, and I worked in IT for so long before I kind of pivoted to HR, which is a whole different story on it.
Well, and honestly, I want to hear that story. So tell me how you got started there.
Wow. Okay. So, all right, let's go back. So I've been in IT for 12 years. I just aged myself now. That's just 12 years in IT. And then from there, and that was completely technical. And then from there, I pivoted to project management, but it was all IT-based projects and solutions, business solutions using IT, basically. And so I was doing that job. And then at my company, they were looking at creating a people committee. Back then, we just called it a people committee. Right now, an ERG, if you will. But before naming it an ERG, it was an ERG. And at that moment, HR specifically wanted that committee to be outside the realm of HR. So they didn't want it to be under the HR function. So they did an election kind of thing. I was an elected chairwoman of the people committee twice in a row, consecutively, right? And so I was doing that along with my normal job, right? That was just an additional thing. And the people committee was just basically just to take a pulse, see how everyone's feeling. It could be as simple as, well, we want the Christmas tree to be here.
Sure. Yeah.
To more challenging aspects of it. So while I was doing that, and I will report to the board, to the executive board, in terms of what the people are feeling and all that stuff. And through that work, I was spotlighted by the HR director, who approached me, I think it was during a Christmas party or something, and started asking me all these HRE questions that really you shouldn't be asking people outside.
Sure.
So he was asking me, well, where do you see your career going? And, would you consider a career in HR? And honestly, at the beginning, I thought he was pulling my leg. I thought he was joking. And this is like, in a Christmas party setting. So I was wondering how many tequila shots had he had before asking that question.
Sure.
But he was serious. He was like, no, we've seen you work. We've seen the way you deal with people, going back to my core. And, and I said, well, HR is wonderful, but I don't know anything about HR. I've never studied it. I don't know anything. And they said, well, you have the right caliber for an HR person. The technical stuff or the knowledge gap, we will fill, right?
I love that.
Training, we will do everything. But as attitude-wise and relationship-wise and caliber, you will do well should you want to go down this path. And don't worry about the technical stuff. We will do that later. And that's how I kind of changed from working with computers, which is much easier, to working with people, which is challenging, but for me, it was rewarding and it was a good fit.
I love that. Yeah. And kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, it's crazy how, just your energy itself and your personality and who you are at your core was actually coming out. And HR was actually seeing that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
neat.
telling to their leadership, right?
Absolutely.
To be able to match the organizational strategic objectives to individual capabilities and career aspirations. So there's always that gap you need to kind of align what the company wants to achieve and then look at its talent pool, who's there and who can fit that role. And the talent is in finding the people who don't even know they might be good in that particular role, but you having or seeing their potential and knowing what the company needs, and then approaching them to just think about that possibility, and then if everything fits, give them the support and give them the tools to actually become successful in that role, which I think more organizations need to do. A lot of organizations tend to promote people based on what they have done thus far without looking so much at the potential capabilities in the future. And they could be talent out there that we're not looking at, or we're bypassing because we're just looking at what they're doing right now and they're good at doing this. So let them do more of the same. Eventually you'll get bored doing more of the same. You got to do something different from what you have already mastered, I guess. That's the word I'm looking for.
And that's so true. And I think even like the workplaces are shifting again to be more so skill set, personality type of based. And then they're just looking they can hire all of the technical skills, like you were saying, and they can train that. And that is, I think, so critical right now in the workplaces and workplaces to even see. So kind of going and looking at HR professionals as a whole. So, say they're going out and they're asking folks, just like that HR director did with you, and they're asking people, what are you interested? Have you ever thought about this career path? And they're so hyper focused on everybody else around them. How can they do that for themselves?
Good question. Sometimes, you don't see your own capabilities. That's when coaching comes in. That's when mentorship and coaching comes in, because sometimes others see in you what you don't see in yourself. And I think, for leaders to be able to unlock their potential, they need to ask others.
Yeah.
I always laugh about people talk about themselves being great leaders. Well, you might think you're a good leader, but what do others say about you?
Right. So true.
It's not what you say about yourself. It's what everyone else says about you, right?
Yes.
And I always look at things like in these three circles, right? If you look at the first circle would be what you're good at doing. Okay. And the next circle is what do people say you're good at doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the third circle is what do you love doing? So what you're
Mm,
good at, what people say you're good at, and what you're truly passionate about doing. The intersection is your sweet spot.
I love that. One of the things I've personally have issues with, and, for all of our listeners, I like to be as vulnerable as I possibly can with everyone because I want to make sure they understand that they're not alone in this battle.
Mhm.
So even for me, I struggle. Um, I love getting feedback from people because that does help me kind of feel like where I stand. But what I struggle with is trying to find what I love to do. And it's an odd thing, but trying to really be self reflective and trying to kind of figure out life in a sense is a huge piece of me right now. Even just trying to figure out why did I get into HR, right?
Mm.
Because I think over the years, HR went through a lot during COVID in particular, not saying they didn't go through a lot before that too, but it's also the profession is shifting too. So we have the profession shifted at the same exact time as COVID. And then you have these folks working, around the clock and dealing with all of the different things happening. I know during that time frame, I was working in a manufacturing setting and we were 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I was getting calls at crazy AM hours. And it was all to ask me what to do in a certain scenario because we didn't want others to get sick. And my thing was send them home. Send them home. Like that is probably the best thing that you can do. So I'm saying all of this because I think with all of these things going on in the background, it's hard for and I speak kind of generally, but it's hard for HR folks to really focus in on themselves when so much is happening around them. So, what type of advice would you give? I know you mentioned coaching and, mentorships and those types of things. What type of advice would you give an HR professional that would be going through that?
Step away. Okay,
Mm,
stepping away is not, it doesn't mean you don't care, but you need to find ways to re energize.
mhm,
Whether that means you go out for a walk, oh, you listen to your favorite music, oh, you need whatever it is, you need to step out. And going back to your earlier point about, knowing what you're passionate about, you can ask people around you, family, loved ones, when have they seen you the happiest, right?
ooh,
When
ah,
would be telling, when were you happiest? Were you happiest when you're doing this project? When you're happiest when you're, you know, whatever it is, they would be
mhm,
able to tell you because they probably see more of you, especially those that are close to you, see you
sure,
more and able to do more on that aspect to help you out, to help you figure out what it is that you're passionate about. But yeah,
sure,
stepping out of that kind of situation. Um,
mhm,
is what I would advise. And it's very difficult for me as well. When you're in the midst of it, when you're in the midst of work, you've got so many things to do, so many things to hand over. You feel you can't step out. You might even feel selfish to just take that 5 minutes or 10 minutes of out, do
mhm,
nothing. To re-energize, but it's very, very important. And you cannot help others when you are exhausted, mentally,
mhm,
physically, emotionally, right? So my advice is to take time out, do something else completely. And actually 5 minutes is not even enough. I would
yeah,
say 10 to 15 minutes. Just do something else. Don't think about whatever it is that you have to tackle. And it's harder said than done, because think about, like, if I tell you right now, don't think about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind will wander and think about everything. It's very
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out what I was going to think about. Oh, that's so weird.
yeah, just to clear your mind. And actually, I read this amazing book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, by Robin Sharma. It's a whole different story, which I won't bring you to it, but you know, you can go and read the book. But in it, it gives you techniques on how to clear your mind. Basically, push away all the thoughts and think of nothing for 1 minute or 2 minutes. And it sounds easy, but it's not. And it's all about how you train your mind and how you how much control you have. So yeah, take time out, do something completely different, do something hopefully that you love, then go back to it, you know?
Right,
And that's the
right.
only thing you can do. You got to take care of yourself to take care of others.
Yep, yep. And, that's definitely a theme that we've been hearing a lot of. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Kind of like the same in sense of you have to love yourself before you can love others.
Yeah.
And it's so true. But going back to what you said, I really loved how you said about how going to like the people you're closest with to try to figure out, when did you see me most happy? Because I think honestly, that could be extremely groundbreaking. I heard from, I believe it was a psychologist recently, and they were saying something about how, when you were, say, like 12 years old, you are the same person that you were at 12 years old. Now you've just essentially like grown, but that is the type of person that you strive to be still. So like an example of that would be, I loved singing karaoke when I was that age. I loved playing volleyball at that age. And so I am getting back into, volleyball. So I'm finding that passion, rekindling that and what I love, but also really looking at singing, going outside of my comfort zone, really pushing myself to do things that maybe I necessarily wouldn't do it before because I was scared. And somebody would ask me, scared of what? And I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just that underlying fear of the unknown, maybe. And maybe that's kind of what HR professionals in general are struggling with, because I've heard a lot from people that they feel like they can't build relationships at work. And when they say relationships, they mean friendships because of the type of position that you're in. So, how have you kind of overcome that over the years?
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. You just open.
Big question. I know.
No. That's exactly the advice I was giving a family member the other day. We've all been made to believe that we have to separate our personalities at work versus our true authentic selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, I don't know where this teaching or where this belief came from, but we all think that, okay, we got to go to the office right now, or whatever the work environment, doesn't have to be an office, right? We have to behave in a certain manner, right? Now that
Right.
we're in a work environment, it's almost like putting a mask, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For those who misunderstand what leadership is all about, they think being a leader means being extra harsh, seeming a little bit distant, seeming a little bit cold. And, they think that's leadership. And they put on that mask, okay, and they go into work and they adopt a persona that's completely different from their authentic selves. So the same person who's at work that seems to be rude, seems to be demeaning, seems to be uninterested, or,
Right.
actually has friends, has beloved family. They go out with their friends for coffee, for beers, for whatever. And they behave completely different outside the work environment than they do in the work environment. And for me, why?
Yeah.
Be exhausting, have all
Yeesh.
these different masks and personas. So for
Yep.
me, I would advise strongly having relationships at work. I'm not saying you gotta love everyone at work. Of course, you have different personalities at work and you won't get along with everyone. but within reason,
Sure.
have relationships. Let me tell you, as head of HR, what I used to do. Twice in a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, I leave my office and walk around the office, just walk the office, walk the
Mm-hmm.
place. I'll just doing nothing. I'll have just my coffee and just pop in. Hi, how are you? I want people to see me. I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
the HR person that's locked in the office all the time.
Sure. That hides.
So I made it like a mission. Twice a day, I would
Wow.
just walk around the office. And sometimes that walk could be like a 5 minutes. Sometimes it could be a whole half an hour. And you know what happened? That's not a waste of time, because during that half an hour, I'm interacting with people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to what their concerns are. Unofficial, very informal, because that's
Yeah.
when people open up, right? So that's the way I dealt with it. And through those kind of walks, I built relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to do that as an HR
Yeah.
person more than any other profession. That is something you need to do. And I will tell you something. I progressed. I worked for my ex-company for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
The most amazing company. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for them. And I got promoted. I, climbed up the career ladder.
Right.
Not because I am more capable or I have better, my skills were good, but the others who were just with the same skill sets, right?
Right.
But I climbed that ladder because of my relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody was discussing succession planning at some point, they remembered, oh, Awatif, what's she doing these days? What's her interest?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I popped up in those kind of conversations because I was visible.
Yeah, it's how you showed up.
It's how I showed up.
Mm,
And
I love
so
that.
going back to, building relationships with at work, I think it's absolutely important. It's more important. It's I wouldn't say more important than the work itself, but it's next to it, right there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If people don't see you, out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
what you have on paper in terms of your achievements are great, but if they cannot put a face to those achievements, then you're kind of you're gonna fall into the void, right? Nobody
You're right.
gonna remember. So those relationships are very, very important.
That's so, so true. I've noticed even I make myself very intentional, the same like you. And I try to go around to folks and just kind of pop in. Like we have where it sounds really silly, but where I'm located. So I'm located and I know that people can't see what I'm like showing. So I want everybody to visualize what I'm saying. So say my office is in the middle. Okay. We have a restroom, a women's restroom to the right hand side. We have a women's restroom up in our like programs area per se, that programs typically uses. But sometimes I'll randomly just pop into that restroom rather than the other restroom because I go through the programs area and I can say hello to everyone. And one of the things that I've been doing really is saying, I'll come to you. If we have a meeting, I'll come to you. So kind of coming in their space, because I'm very cognizant if somebody comes to me, it could be perceived as quote unquote bad. Not saying that anything that HR has done specifically, but they do get a bad rap sometimes, They have that, analogy of being a principal's office or what have you. So the other thing, it's so funny. Walking around is super impactful. I've brought my dog into work. I've brought my kid into work. And I know that's not, feasible for all of the different companies, especially larger corporations typically don't allow that unless you're chewy.com, right? um, and then they're like, bring all the dogs. But man, the shift, it was crazy. Everybody stopped to see the dog, to see Miller. They loved Miller. And so we just were able to chat. I was able to chat about their dogs, their animals in general. And then we just got to talking and making real conversation. outside of the HR, scope that they typically would only come to you for. So it's pretty neat to see the shifts in relationships depending on what you do. So I love how you made it very intentional to walk around twice a day. That's a lot. And I know that's a lot because I've had to do it before, especially on a manufacturing floor. So yeah, give you big kudos to that because you have to be very intentional. But it does make a difference relationship wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to another friend the other day and she didn't even know what their HR looked like. That's horrifying.
Yes. Wow.
They didn't know.
That's
And it
strange.
wasn't a humongous company. It wasn't like, I think it was maybe a 200 people company.
What? Oh my gosh. No, no. You
It
should know what your HR person looks like.
is. Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
Anyway.
Ugh. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that that can truly happen, but with a 200-person organization, that's really hard to believe. Clearly, that there wasn't something being done. Don't know what that is, but
Whatever I was, I mean, even if you outsource aspects of HR, there must be a people person there,
has to be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing the shift in HR becoming more of that people type of focus. So your motto is leading for legacy, not compliance, right? So talk to me about how and what kind of got you started on that.
What got me started really, I was privileged enough, I think, to have worked in organizations that really got leadership right at the get-go, and
Mm-hmm.
they understood the importance of true leadership in creating those healthy work cultures that everyone feels comfortable to be their true selves and authentic
Right.
selves, right? And then I went to do my executive MBA. And the executive MBA means we do evening classes and the students would work in the morning and then come and take the evening classes. So during that whole experience, the students will come in and bring real life challenges and real
Mm-hmm.
life examples that we had to work on in the class as a business case, right? And through that interaction, I heard horrific
Mm-hmm.
stories of conduct under the umbrella of leadership from
Mm-hmm.
my fellow students. I actually felt sorry for them.
Oh.
First, I felt really bad. Then I felt really angry that people had the audacity to misbehave so badly, so
Mm-hmm.
publicly in the workplace. I'm talking about screaming and name calling and blaming and, scapegoating, all that kind of
Yeah.
behavior. And they claim to be leaders. So that kind of really angered me.
Those are the type of people that we talked about earlier, right? Of how they think they're leading properly and great. But how about they ask other people, like the students that were giving these cases?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they were suffering.
Oh,
And it takes its toll, right? Because we're
sure.
emotional people. So it takes its toll mentally, physically. I mean, it can result into really physical illnesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not right. I mean, it must be exhausting for that leader to behave that way as well. And going back to the earlier conversation, we're talking about people believing that they have to adopt a certain persona when they go to work,
Right.
wearing masks, right? It must be exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
to do all this. And it can't feel nice to be demeaning or screaming at people. I mean, of course, there are people who are maybe sadistic and they take pleasure in doing that, but I
Sure.
believe the majority of people are not like that.
Right.
And they resort to that kind of behavior because of whatever the reason, whatever their
Sure.
beliefs are. And so that's what really got me started in this path, because I don't know if I call it privilege right now. I don't think it should be a privilege. It should be a right that you go to a work environment and it's healthy and it's great and you get to perform. and leave feeling great, right? Rather than feel,
Right.
oh God, I have to do this again tomorrow, right?
Or it's Monday. Gosh, I don't feel like going in. I hear that often.
Exactly. So I did not experience that. Luckily for me, privilege or not, luckily for me, I worked in environments which were healthy. I'm not saying every day was rosy. There are challenges that you have to face, but overall, it was not a toxic work environment. Far from it,
Right.
in fact. And so I took it upon me to raise that awareness and make people understand that you could be a humane and an excellent leader without sacrificing on profit. Okay. Behaving or leading for compliance, which I nicknamed dictatorship, can
Yep.
yield results, right? That whole
Sure.
carrot and stick approach does work, but it's short-lived. It's short-term, and it leaves a very distasteful memory, painful memories sometimes. And it's not that legacy that you want people to remember you for. And that's
Right.
why I'm advocating for leading for legacy rather than for compliance, right?
Sure.
Because that is positive, it's long lasting. And guess what? The results that you get from that are stronger than the other way.
Before we wrap up, we want to give a special thank you to two of our sponsors. First, we'd like to once again thank our launch sponsor, the Bring This to Life community at confidentcommunicator.com, for their generous support. We also want to thank one of our founding supporter sponsors, Chain Solutions. They have believed in the Beyond HR podcast since day one, and we are proud to have them alongside us. Chain Solutions has been a trusted name and background screening for just over 20 years. They are accredited, use secure mobile-first technology, and offer incredible responsive support with an average response time of just 18 minutes. If you're in need of a background screening partner who gets it right, fast and secure, Chain Solutions is one to know. And just for our listeners, they are waiving their usual $250 setup fee. Just mention you heard about them on the Beyond HR podcast. Thanks again to Chain Solutions for being a part of our journey.
How do you find that line within HR? Because, there's so many laws out there, and some are super gray, some are very black and white, some are a little bit gray, depending on what you're looking at. But, as human beings, nothing is ever super crystal clear because nothing ever matches that, the specific examples that, the law gives. So, how does HR find that line between leading for legacy versus that compliance?
Right. HR, I'm going to say something maybe controversial here to the HR community, so I
Sure.
apologize in advance. The reputation that we've got about HR being a policy or principle kind of department, we play a role in having that policy. We created that. We created that reputation, and we need to get out of our bubble a little bit, all right, and correct that. It's on us. Because we either let it go on for so long, the reputation, or we played an active role in creating that. Yes, we have policies. Yes, we have procedures. But hey, we're not different from other departments. We're not different from legal. We're not different from finance. We're not different from other departments who have the same thing. Our role in HR is to make people understand the reason behind those policies that they have to abide by.
Okay.
If nobody likes to be just told to do things without understanding why. So our duty is to change that mindset, is to explain to them why certain things need to be done. And once you explain that, okay, and once you get them on board, they will want to do it. Not because they've been told to do it, but because they understand why, and they want to be on that journey with you to become compliant, or to become successful, or to become to get to that market share, or to whatever that outcome. The policies are linked to an outcome, right? Otherwise, they use
Right. Right.
So whatever
Right.
that outcome is, once you explain the journey and the reason, they'd want to do it because they want to be part of that journey rather than them being told or dictated to say,
Right.
you gotta do this whether you like it or not.
Yep. Yep. And I love personally explaining the philosophy behind things. So even that's a part of the why, but even like the leadership philosophy and what we strive to be. And here is why we have this type of thing and how this kind of all syncs up together. And so even kind of me sitting back and saying, we are trying to be intentional so you know you are cared for. So here is what we're doing because of that. And man, that has been super effective. And it's nice because, some folks may not even know the policies. Do they really care to look at a handbook? Do I really care to look at a handbook? No. Come on, let's be honest. And that might be controversial too with, some HR folks. Maybe they are like super honed in on the handbook saying, well, this is what the handbook says. Well, no, let's look at the human being first. And then let's look at the policy to see if we have anything at all. Because if not, I mean, it all depends on the different situation, but there is a different approach to being able to handle the human side versus the compliance side. Because like I said earlier, it's never a straight match, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, both of them deliver results. It's just
Right. Different
how
results.
long, right?
Yep. Yep.
At what cost? That's even more
Yes.
important.
Yes. For sure. For
If I
sure.
learned anything in my own entire whole life, if I want to leave people with one thing,
Yes.
it would be this: that people will do things for you, and people will do things that you want them to do because they like you, because
Mhm.
you made them feel safe, because you showed them that you care, and you've persuaded them and convinced them that this is the right thing to do.
Mm.
That's
Pretty powerful takeaway.
That's the only way. I mean, you can get people to do things that you want them done. They have to
Right.
be on that journey with you. They have to be
Yeah.
invested. So,
It's not a child.
yeah, well,
In a sense, you're like explaining really thoroughly the why. And I love how children really kind of take us a step forward because
right.
they test us every single day. I have two children of my own. I know I've told you that previously, but for other folks, two children of my own. And it's funny how much they push me on the why and how much I don't know the why sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain that. Just give me a few minutes. So
Yeah.
they actually make us better. It's kind of funny how that happens, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a tangent, but it just kind of popped into my mind.
It is. And then talking about children, and I don't have children. I have 13 nephews and nieces, and they're keeping me busy.
Yes.
But I mean, there's a saying like children will always imitate what the adults do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
can bring that back into the work environment.
Right.
People will always mimic what their leaders do, right?
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
behave in a certain way, they will think that that's okay, and they will behave in that same way as well.
Yep.
I think there was an experiment. I can't remember the leader that did this. Some company, a leader decided to, test this whole concept of, walk the talk kind of thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and people will follow. I think he started just wearing jeans
Mm.
on a particular day of the week. And
Yep.
I think this was a law firm or something that, formal dressing was mandated or something like that.
Sure.
He just started wearing jeans one day a week, right?
Mhm.
Fair enough. A few weeks later, people are wearing
People
jeans that
followed.
same day.
I love that.
No
I love
policy
that.
written, not
Yeah.
communicated, right?
Yep.
They will follow. It's
Yeah.
what you do. It's your
Yeah.
conduct that people will look at, not your words. Not saying,
Yeah.
your words shouldn't be powerful, but more your actions, your conduct, and that's what people will remember, and that's what people would follow. So it's
Yeah.
really up on you. All these leaders are saying, "Oh, we have terrible people working for us." Oh, okay. How did they?
Look at yourself. Yes.
Well, when you hired them, they were not terrible. That's why you invested
Right.
money in hiring them.
Mm-hmm.
How have they become terrible? What have you done to make them terrible?
Right. So tell me a little bit about kind of you've given me that big takeaway, the big strong takeaway that people can use. But when we're talking about kind of like redefining your purpose and maybe feeling fulfilled in what you do, what advice would you give? One little nugget of advice to kind of redefine their purpose and find fulfillment.
Every individual is unique.
Hmm.
Okay. What fulfills you is not necessarily what will fulfill somebody else. Right.
Right.
So it's very hard. It's not a copy paste situation, right? It's something that you really need to work on to determine what it is that makes you happy. And it goes back to those 3 circles I talked about before. What are you good at, what you're passionate about, and what do people say you're good at? The
Hmm.
sweet spot
Hmm.
is in between. Once you have that defined, try and get all sorts of help, be it coaching, being reading, be it attending seminars, be podcasts, to strengthen that 1 or 2 or 3 things that make you happy. And that will
Yeah.
be your legacy. How you execute that, different people will do it differently, right?
Right.
But the why is unique to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And talking about like people being all unique, uh, if you go to one seminar, if you listen to one podcast, if you talk with a coach and you get one little nugget that you can implement, that's actually easier than taking in, hours of information in, because we know as humans, it's hard to kind of change what we're doing on the day to day, and it takes time to do that and to be able to really reflect on that. So that's super powerful.
Yeah, piecemeal.
So
And,
yeah,
the things that you cannot change. Don't try
right,
and change everything, because that could be overwhelming. And people might be scared to attempt it, and it would, they just walk away from it. But if you take
right.
smaller pieces, like today or this month, I'm going to work on this,
Hmm.
and till I get it right, until I feel I'm comfortable, then I'm going to work on this other thing, right? Rather than
Right.
tackling everything at once.
Tell me how, you can help folks, where people can connect with you.
All right. Well, I'm available everywhere. You
Love that.
can find me at www.awehorizons.com, which is the name of the company. I'm in the process of publishing a book, so watch out for that. If you go to awehorizons.com and subscribe to our newsletters, I'll keep you posted with this whole book launch that's coming out hopefully towards the end of this year, next year. And it's all about leading for legacy and that
Hmm.
difference between leadership and dictatorship styles. So that's the website. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I won't give you my telephone number. I think that's too much, but
Yeah, probably. You
yeah,
wouldn't want people
I
calling you
will.
all times of day.
Exactly. The website is the best. LinkedIn is another. Or Horizons .com is the best way to reach out to me. And
Great.
you can email me as well. There's a form that you can submit on our website, and I'll get back to you, or a team member will get back to you within 24 hours for sure.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation. I know me personally, I've really learned, several nuggets that I am going to have to actually go back and listen to this again, so I cannot forget. If I write it down, typically it can happen. But boy, I hope that everybody learns at least one thing from this. And, I feel personally, if you don't learn one thing from this, you were not listening. So I want you to listen again, and you will learn. It's kind of like a movie in a sense, and you watch it over and over and over again. You're always seeing little different things within the movie. I've watched this Moana movie. I don't even know how many times, maybe like 100. It's crazy. And my daughters love Moana, but I see something new each and every time I watch that movie. So if you hear things during this that you want to go back with, I do encourage you to really listen to this again. But thank you again so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond HR podcast. We hope today's episode inspired you to reflect and grow in your own HR journey. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Beyond HR Podcast. If you found value here, share it with your fellow HR professionals. Until next time, keep making an impact on yourself.